On tonight's episode of What's Wrong With My Mustang, featuring Big Tone, Dan Schmidt on the way. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of our shop vlog, I guess. Is the best way to put this. I haven't really came up with a name yet. But here we have, now the hoist is holding most of the engine up. It's just there for balance. But this is Mike Greco's 331, it's like a 336 now. It has AFR 205 Renegades, it has roller rockers, has the, I forget the part number on the spring from AFR for an hydraulic roller, EFI Super Vic. He has these goofy spacers on here because he runs an elbow with a throttle body on it. 42-pound injectors, return fuel system as it should, stock style distributor, just a cheaper balancer. But it is a Dart Iron Eagle, and there's more to the story than what I'm telling you, but the bottom line for the moment is that it doesn't run very well. It felt like it was out of balance. So we're gonna go through it. First we're gonna do a compression test, which is why it's on this little stand here, because we're gonna put the bell housing and flywheel and a starter on it, and just make sure it's still like healthy-ish. Make sure there's no major problems there before we go tearing it all down. And then we're going to just start from the bottom or top, work our way down. We're going to get on an engine stand, kind of strip it down. Ideally, our goal is to pull the crank and one piston rod assembly and just go check the balance on it with this balancer and flywheel on it. We're not 100% sure if it's correct, so that's going to be one major component. And then the rest is going to be just making sure whoever put it together kind of paid attention to the specifics, valve train geometry, camshaft timing chain condition, because it just runs really weak. This should really be a high RPM screamer. Even though it's a hydraulic roller, it should still get some. So it doesn't, it's terrible. We could see some of the issues where it had an exhaust leak, kind of everywhere, real big time on this side, which we could hear. So we're gonna start tearing into it. We're gonna bring you some updates on it. We'll show you guys what we're getting into, and we'll see you guys shortly. All right, so we tested one cylinder already with our contraption here. Jump in the starter with the battery, and we're just using a jumper wire to crank it. Right here. Jump those two terminals together. We rated 1, so I know it works. And get number 2 on here for you. And crank it. Starter doesn't sound good, but this is a bad starter that came out of Dad's car, so I wasn't expecting it to sound that great. All right, so update on Mike's motor. We did the compression test with our hillbilly setup here. No offense to any hillbillies, but everything was within a few percent. I mean, the lowest we got was 150 on 2 cylinders, and the highest we got was 160. So it's healthy that way. However, Justin's here to visit. Hey, Justin. And he noticed that the balancer is wobbling all over the place. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm gonna do it right now. Oh, so that's loose. I don't know if he pulled it off. It looks like he might have pulled it off at one point. Yeah, that's not on all the way. So that's why. Okay. Oh. Disregard the balancer for now. Now we're gonna pull the bell housing back off, flywheel back off, get this back onto an engine stand, and start ripping her down. All right, what's up guys? We're bringing you another installment. You saw this video earlier. It's been sitting around my garage for a very long time. This is Mike Greco's Dart Iron Eagle 336, and the best way to describe the problems with it is it runs like shit. So we are gonna just take it down, look for any kind of problems. Recently he had somebody put a Super Vic on it, AFR 205 heads, so these are relatively new. This was used, but it's relatively new setup. 42-pound injectors. The rotating assembly seems to have a really bad vibration in it, so that's why I'm taking it apart to check the balance. And then we're gonna put a different camshaft that's more spec'd for this setup, which is way different than what's in it right now. And then we're just gonna see if there's anything else that's wrong with it. We did do a compression test on it, which I'll put at the beginning of this video if you haven't seen it. And it's pretty healthy overall, so just gonna freshen it up and do it the way I would have done it rather than whoever did do it. And I'll bring you guys some updates once we start getting it apart if we find any issues with it, and we'll go from there. So we got Mike's 336 all the way torn down. We left all the rods and pistons except for one out. It does look like they were all balanced to each other because it's got some grinding marks, so it looks like I can trust the fact that they all weigh the same. So now I'm going to take the crank, flywheel, balancer. It should be neutral balance, so I shouldn't need to take the crank and balancer and flywheel, but we're not risking anything, so we're taking that with. We're going to take the one rod piston bearing assembly rings, and we're going to go get this balanced to make sure that everything's good there. It just felt so, the vibration felt so bad. Luckily, nothing is evident that that was the problem. All the bearings look good. I mean, it's low miles and everything proves to be low miles. So there's very little wear on any of the components, which are great. Now there was a couple problems that we found. The water pump, for some reason was wrong and it was ground into the timing cover. So that's something that we have to look at. This has a bunch of wear on it. Shouldn't be like that. So that was a problem. Some of the gasket choices and hardware was cheap or junk in some way. But for the most part, it was okay. I mean, obviously the tuner, it was just not running properly at all. There's just so much, it was just so rich. There's so much carbon buildup on everything. And these things are like brand new, so. I think we're gonna find our problem in either electronic issue or with the tuning itself. So hopefully everything, when we put it back together, Mike's gonna bring his car here. We are gonna still stick the different camshaft in it, obviously, because that camshaft is nowhere near for this combination. And when you're running a Super Vic and big heads and shit like that, you really wanna get a camshaft that's gonna help the airspeed because, otherwise it's just gonna choke itself out. So we're really gonna work on that and hopefully bring you guys an update. So that'll wrap up this video. This is just a quick update on what's going on with this motor. And stay tuned. Subscribe down below for the next video where we're putting it back together. And then we will have obviously a series on his car going back together and hopefully have some great success fixing it. And finally getting that thing on the road ready for next year to get thrashed on all the time. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love that you're watching. Subscribe down below, share with your friends, tag somebody. I don't know, however it works. But we will see you guys next time.